All right, Dylan. We'll try to practice tomorrow. We'll see where he's at. We'll get both him and Heinrich ready. Obviously, we made the move with Dana last week. He will call the plays this week and serve as the offensive coordinator moving forward. So with that, let's see what questions you got.
Moving forward, for this week or for the rest of the season?
For the rest of the season,
Okay.
Why would Dana be calling the plays? What do you think he can bring to the table?
I think called him last week, had him come in, had him kind of look at everything. I think he's got a long history of success offensively, both as a head coach, but certainly as a coordinator before that. And I think he just kind of gives us a fresh perspective on looking at kind of what we're doing and who we're doing it with, and was able to sort of say, hey, let's kind of go in these directions over here. So, I just think it gives us a great opportunity to have one of the great offensive minds, a guy that I've been friends with before and I trust, and excited to see what he does.
Could you speak on how that relationship started with him and what through the years you've really respected about him?
Well, I think it goes all the way back to me going to the convention as a young assistant and sitting and listening to him talk, and then coached against him when he was at West Virginia. Saw the evolution of what he did there in terms of, going to a cold weather place, running the football, but still being really explosive, winning. We're represented by the same people, so we see each other at a lot of different places. He's friends with my wife and I. We come to Charlotte quite a bit, and so just someone I respect as a coach. This is it's not a friend thing. It's more of a I just respect him. I respect what he's done. He got done last year and probably needed some time, and I called him last week and said, hey, can you come in and help? So he and Phil came in and kind of looked through everything, and I think he felt confident. I think he likes, as he said to me, he likes our coaches, he likes our players, and felt like he could help.
How unique is this? Have you been around something like this where week 11 you make a change like this with somebody that's not even in your building to take over calling the plays?
It's probably unique, but it's what's needed. It's the right thing. I think the genesis of this was, I think what you're going to see now as coaches get fired. I think you'll start to see coaches like leaving maybe even before bowl games and coaching bowl games, and so the players can have some familiarity with them. And I think that that was kind of in my head of like, hey, I think you've seen coaches take jobs now and then go there and coach the bowl game. When I went to Baylor, I sat out and didn't do that, and so I didn't really have a chance to know the players till mid-spring. And so last Sunday, I appreciate all the work our staff has done. I love how hard they've grinded and cared about the kids and done their best and produced some good moments. And I felt like we needed some help, and so I just thought this was, the right thing to do. At the end of the day, like, it might be bold, it might be unique. And again, I didn't bring him at first with that. I said, hey, come and see. And I think as he got here, he felt comfortable. And Marcus walked in right away and was like, tell me everything you need. And Glenn did the same thing. And Garrett said, I can translate this into your language. And, so, and then Dana's obviously, he's really, really a smart guy offensively. He can figure out kind of what we're doing and what we do well. So,
Is this
sorry.
Is this signal a shift in your the head coach's offensive philosophy?
I want to score points. I think the thing with Dana, Dana came up last year, to visit, and at the time I was hoping, maybe he would do one of those. Sometimes as a head coach, you get fired, you go and you go down to Alabama, work for Nick Saban or something like that. And I looked at Coach Saban's history of having Bill O'Brien and Lane Kiffin and all those guys as OCs, guys who've been head coaches who have perspective. This is a lonely job sometimes, and to have someone in the building who's done that, you have someone to bounce ideas off of. So at the time, I was hoping maybe at some point he'd be ready to do this. But no, if I look, if I'm being honest about myself, if I look back, I think, we've always done a good job of playing really good defense. We've always done a good job of being physical. We've always done a really good job of developing players. When we've had good offenses, we've won games. And so Dana, when I think about what he's done, going to Oklahoma State, what he did there, going to West Virginia, the run game that they had, I competed against them. It was a really, really physical, tough team, and so it just made sense to me.
Where does this leave Sat, and how do you structure the offensive coaching staff with a change like this and 3 games to go?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just worried about right now. Marcus is about as good a man as I know, and he could have just said, "Hey, you know what? Fire me. Give me my money. I'm going to go home." But he didn't. He didn't. And in a world where, trust me, I get it. It's a results business, but like you're still trying to teach some life lessons to our guys. He humbled himself and said, "What do I need to do?" And it's like the first day Dana said to me, he watched practice. He's like, "Man, you got really good coaches. I'm watching them out there. Like I'm watching EJ, I'm watching Donnie, I'm watching Sat, I'm watching Glenn, I'm watching Garrett. Like there's great coaches here. We just have to find the things that like our guys do well. Let's just do those things and eliminate all the other stuff." And so. So Sat's out there coaching the tight ends. Garrett's coaching the wideouts. Donnie's coaching the O-line. Glenn's coaching the quarterbacks. EJ's coaching the running backs. And anything that Dana needs, they're helping him. He's not. You can't come in and change the offense. You can't come in and install the air raid. You can't come in and. We're in week 11, as you said, but you can come in and say, hey, what are the things that we do well? Who are the guys that make plays, and let's figure out how to do it with those guys. So I think that's the big picture that I think he's doing right now.
I think people want to know, Matt, is would the air raid be something you consider down the line after the season?
Yeah, I think right now I'm just focused on right now. I think if you watch what Dana did at West Virginia, I think whether we're playing Lincoln Riley this week, right? They all have the air raid principles in them. Everyone's going to run mesh and cross, and the plays that they invented, everyone runs, right? So it's really taken on a much bigger picture than that, if that makes sense. I think, Coach Leach was still doing purely the air raid, but I think when you watch what Coach Holgerson's done, when you watch what Coach Riley's done, they've built powerful offenses with big people who run the football, play action, and yeah, they have some of those principles in there, but they adopt other things. So, but it's to me, this is an opportunity. I have Tony White, who I think is a great coach, who does some unique things, and he's adjusted his offense to our people, or his defense to our people, and I think it's been really good. And I think Coach Holgerson will adjust the offense to our people. And I don't know what 3 weeks from now holds. I have no idea. The off season's the off season, but this is not about next year. This is about right now. This is about us giving our guys the best chance to go out there and win at USC.
What was your players' response to all this? That's pretty
Significant change. How do they respond, do you think, both in practice and also in conversations with you?
There hasn't been I haven't had a ton of like that conversation. I think the players have just kind of battled through last week. Last week was a tough week, obviously, for us, right? So I think they kind of battled through it. I gave the seniors a couple days off, just to kind of catch their breath. They've done so much for the program, and I wanted the young guys to know last week, like, hey, this is not about next year. This is about right now. Like, get better now. And so it was good. You have some guys, maybe they're on the scout team. All of a sudden now they're up there playing. And then Thursday we all came back together. And I think Dana has just done a good job of saying, hey, guys, I'm just here to help. And so it has, I'm sure in the locker room there's seismic conversations, don't get me wrong. But no one's come to me with, hey, Coach, I think this is a good move or a bad move. I think they've just kind of said, hey, what are we doing next? And I will say this, just being out on the field and watching, I think it's all flowed really seamlessly and really smoothly. And that was really the take from Phil. Like, Coach Snow came in and was like, I trust Phil with my life, and he was like, man, you got a really good group of kids. You got a good defensive staff. It's just some of these games, it's just like a play here, a play there. It's like, you're knocking the quarterback out of bounds on 3rd and 8 when you need to come around and sack fumble the ball, right? So it's just, just a little edges here and there that we're fighting for.
Specifically, what was Dylan's response?
I think Dylan trusts me and trusts the program. It was just kind of like, what are we doing moving forward? And, I think he just took it as like, hey, this is, what are we doing today? He's trying to get his back healthy, right? So, but I think all the guys had a really positive reaction to it. And go back to what I said last week, really at the end of the day, like, players need to play. Like, players need to go make plays. Like, you watch on Saturdays, players have to go make plays, and so Dana and the staff will do their best, give the players the best opportunity to go make plays, and then we need the guys to go make them. So the whole play calling thing is, okay, we've tried to handle that. Now go make some plays, and let's make this what it is. Football's a game where players win games, and we got good players. We expect them to go win some games.
Where did the play calling fall short in the first however many games this year?
I think that's too big of a picture. I think if I said anything, I just think, as we've moved throughout the year, we've probably tried to do too many things. Try to get, trying to get this guy involved, trying to get that guy involved. Trying to make up for, hey, we're struggling a little bit here. Probably too much of that, as opposed to just sort of. And I'm not blaming. I'll put that squarely on me as the head coach. I'm not putting that on anyone else. So, maybe like I said, a fresh look from the outside, someone with eyes, with no context of the history of everything, just kind of watching it. I think that's probably the biggest thing, and we'll see what it does. I don't know that we're all of a sudden going to score 50 points a game, but maybe we can get 10 more, 15, 13 more points. Maybe we can convert a couple more third downs. So I think that's just the hope, is just, hey, what do we do well, and let's build on that.
Hey Matt, Dana has shown in his previous stops as head coach that he can run the football. How does his style of running football differ from what Marcus did here?
I mean, I think we run the same plays. I mean, coaching against him, he ran inside zone, he ran counter, power. A little more out of 11 personnel, maybe not as many big sets, but I think the thing I've always respected about Dana was he took advantage of his players. He had Will Greer when we played him, and Will got the ball out of his hands really, really quickly and processed information really quickly. And I think it's probably the same. I think the biggest thing when I played against Dana is he's just a really aggressive play caller. He's gonna, I'm probably not a super aggressive person in that area. So I thought the best move for me was to bring in someone who is that way and push up, offset that against me.
Hey, Matt, was Dana still working at TCU before he came here? Had he been gone there for a few weeks?
Yeah, he was doing kind of what Phil's doing for us, like a consulting role where he would, I think go up there and, spend a couple days there as they game planned and then head back home. So I don't want to.
Hands off, though.
Yeah, he wasn't in the day-to-day operation. It was more of as a consultant. So, it didn't injure TCU in any way by us taking him at this point, I think.
Would Dylan have been able to play Saturday, do you think? If you had a game on Saturday?
I don't know that. Yeah, because we didn't take the approach to try to get him ready, so I can't say that.
How concerned are you, though, that he won't be able to be healthy enough to play?
I think I think it's just a possibility, right? We're getting him, Danny, and Heinrich already, and I'll know more after. We practiced last night. We're not much of a practice. I'll know after Tuesday practice if he can play or not.
So is Phil just here a couple days a week and no role on game day?
Yeah, Phil doesn't even come up here. Phil does everything virtual for us. He watches tape and is an advanced guy for us. Like, we have a couple guys that do things like that for us, whether it's in personnel or. So he like when we were playing Colorado, he'd watch Colorado's defense, dissect the defense for us, watch their offense, dissect the offense. Frank Verducci does the same thing for us, though he does come up on game day. So we have a couple guys that help us kind of like, in the NFL, like as advanced scouts, just sort of their take, then give that information to the coordinators on Sunday. So you walk in on a Sunday, but you have someone who's already studied them for a week who kind of knows your way of seeing things and the other team's strengths and weaknesses. So when last week when we were, kind of going through this, I woke up Sunday morning, went through Sunday day, and then got home. I called both those guys Sunday night and said, hey, can you get up here at some point? And then waited to see if they showed up on Monday or not.
Even from a distance, did you sense, does Dana have a good sense when he arrived of the personnel, and had he been tracking, what you guys were doing?
Oh, I don't want to speak for Coach Holgerson, but I don't think he would put his name on this and come here and do this if he didn't feel like, there were the guys here that he could help and win with, and we could grow, and he certainly doesn't have any reason to have to take this job other than he wanted to, and so how much he had studied us, I don't know that part of it, but I think he felt good about the opportunity.
You had mentioned that red shirts are off anything it takes, in these next couple games. Did
Dana identify anybody that say, hey, you know what, I think maybe getting this guy in the mix more would give us a chance?
And I just want to make sure I clarify. If I said it that way, I didn't mean it. I would not pull a kid's red shirt if I promised him he was redshirting. I just more meant like some of these kids have 4 games. So, hey, if you want to use so-and-so, you know, we're in the last 3 games of the year, go ahead and use him, right? So I just, hey, tell me who you need. Like we have a kid, Makai Nelson, on the scout team. I think he's just a dog. He's like, you know, is he ready to play right now? You know, that was what kind of like last week was for. But we have some kids that I think are really developing into good players because, you know, if you're on the offensive scout team, you go against a pretty good defense every day. And so you really have to learn. So, yeah, I think we've kind of been working some of those guys. You know, I don't know that you'll see us look drastically different than we have. You know, I think it's a lot of this is, you know, these guys have worked their tails off for us and get to this point. And so I think, you know, coaches come in. I mean, he's trying to learn, like, hey, where's the locker room at? Hey, where's, you know, there's a lot of things to learn. But, again, he's one of the more brilliant guys I know, so I think he'll be just fine.
Interesting. I mean, Heinrich and Dylan have different skill sets. You have to prepare 2 offenses this week.
Well, I'm certainly not gonna. That's why I'm not going to let anybody talk to you guys tomorrow, because you guys are really good at your jobs, and I appreciate that. But I would love to keep everything as, you know, we're sitting here trying to figure out what they're going to do with, you know, they've changed the quarterback. You know, we're watching UNLV film and spring film and all that. So, you know, I think the thing that I've learned from Coach Holgerson over the years, and the thing that he said since he got here, and the thing that, you know, I would say I did wrong by Marcus and Glenn and all the guys is simplification, right? Just simplifying to what you do well, and let's just do those things. And we have not gotten that done. And so I don't know that you can go out there and say, hey, let's have, you know, 2 offenses, right? I thought in the UCLA game when Heinrich got in there, I thought he did a nice job. He could pull the ball down and run. You know, he found open guys. And yeah, but we're going to kind of keep our things in-house and our cards as close to the vest as possible.
Matt, as you said, you can't change the offense in 2 weeks. So how much of this in your process of going through it was to be able to give them a spark, like to be able to give the players, you know, just that boost of energy that might be provided by what Dana could bring?
I don't know if it was as much that, because I think sparks and all those things, well, they're all good. I think they're fleeting. You know, if you go back to after the UCLA game, I answered this question from Sam. I said, we're just so inconsistent, and I have to find a way to get us to be more consistent. Now, part of that was, you know, the last 3 games we played 2 top 5 teams. Okay, so, but if you look at like our responses in those games, they're very up and down, right? They're very like, you know, to beat Colorado, we had to block a field goal. Like we had to, you know, Ramir made an amazing catch. That kick, you know, it's still kind of very similar. Like we had to make some plays that you kind of forget about after the fact. Like, so I don't know that I'm still the same. I'm trying to teach the same process, getting better every day. All the things that I 100% believe in. Now with that being said, when I look at what we're doing moving forward, I was like, I'd like Dana to come be our offensive coordinator. I'd like him to call the plays, you know, and run the offense moving forward. I think it's a great fit with me. I think it's a great fit with our players. And so my hope is he'd come in, consult, you know, like what he sees here, and stay here and be the coordinator moving forward. I don't know what's going to happen in 3 weeks. He might get a head coaching job. He might, you know, so I'm not. But to me, it was more about that as much as anything else. And honestly, I wanted him to be around our players and coaches, you know, so that as we go to make, you know, the right moves in the off season, it's great. So this was for me about just the right things moving forward. So can he help us this week? Can he help us next week, the week after? Can he help us in the bowl season? And then can he be the guy for us moving forward that takes us to the next level that we have to be?
Matt, when you look at the Big Ten right now, there's 4 teams obviously that have pulled away. Then there's 13 teams that are between 4 and 6 wins. I mean, how tightly bunched is that group of 13 teams? And are you hoping this move can help move you guys up that group of 13 teams?
Well, I mean, you know, there's 3 games left for us, right? And yeah, you see the parity. We're playing 3 really good teams, 3 teams that are in the same sort of area that we're in, right? You know, I watched Iowa play UCLA on Friday night, and I said, like, you know, I think Sam asked me a very similar question about the parity of the league. I said I thought UCLA had really good personnel. And I know the record says, but they had played LSU, they had played Oregon, they had played all these teams, and the scores sometimes got away from them at the end of the game, and they were closer than it looked to me, right? So I thought when I watched UCLA, I said this is a really, really talented team that's kind of hitting their stride right now. that's what they looked like on Friday night. That was a game that, they turned the ball over twice on Iowa's goal line, or it would have been 2 more touchdowns. And so I just think for me, it's about watching the film and seeing the different teams. So this is about bringing in Coach Holgorsen. Is about helping our offense be better this week against USC. It's about helping our offense be better next year. It's just about everything moving forward. And I think that so many things that we're doing are right and are trending in the right direction. This was an area that was struggling, and I tried to fix it. I hadn't been able to fix it, so I called someone that I knew could fix it. And I think Dana will fix it, and Tony will continue to do a great job, and special teams will continue to improve and play better, and the strength program will continue. We're out on the road recruiting. Like, we're going to continue to recruit well. We'll continue to learn how things are in the new Big Ten. So I just think this is an area that was not at the level we want it to, and I went and found someone that I trust.
And Matt, one of the big things with Dana was he knows how to score points. This year with you guys, I think you scored touchdowns about half your possessions in the red zone. What is it about Dana's red zone offense that impresses you?
I don't know that I can say that specifically, other than he's always had the things that you're looking for to beat man and zero in the red zone. Like when you get down into the red zone, you're looking to have receivers who can run options. We played him when he had David Sills, and we still have a 2-point play called Mountaineer. That he beat Texas with, which just gives the quarterback a lot of flexibility and variations. I think his commitment to both running the football and being aggressive in the passing game is good. It's tough to defend because you're always defending 50-50. And, if you play outside leverage, he's going to run a slant. If you play inside leverage, he's going to run a fade. There's so many things going against him that have been hard and difficult to go, to do. When they beat us really badly one year at West Virginia, and then he left the next year, and Jake Spavital took over. He was his OC, took over at Texas State. And we brought Jake in, and he went through every single play call with our defense. Phil Snow sat there, our entire defense sat there, and we listened to him go through every play. He almost was like, "You sure you guys want me to do this?" I was like, "Yes, we're going to learn from it," right? So that improved us. We went on that next year and won 11 games, and we're really a great defense. So just having that inside knowledge of why they did what they did against us and how they did it. But I think the options that they give guys and the freedom they play with is something that I think our offensive players need, and something that I probably don't do a good enough. I'm probably more of a defensive guy, and so again, I'm just looking at myself very honestly. I think we're doing like 95% of the right things. Like this area, it just hasn't come along the way I wanted. So I said, hey, you know what? Let's find someone who can help you. And I say that because it's really important to me that while the onus always goes on the coaches, there's some onus on the players. As the leader, I have to make the right decisions, and I'm hoping I made the right one. I feel very good about it since Dana's been here for a week.
Obviously, we talk a lot about the quarterbacks, but Dana was a former receiver. He understands that part of the game too. How do you feel like your receivers can get better in the last 3 weeks? What maybe can he talk to Garrett about to get to affect that?
I think it just goes back to what I said of the simplicity of, hey, what do we do well, and what are we? Maybe we're asking the guys to do 20 things, and if we ask them to do 4 things, they'll do those better. Then the onus goes on the player, though. Like, if you're not trying to scheme them open, they've got to get open. And so I think that kind of that freedom of mindset of like, hey, go get open, is important. I think just the repetitive nature of, hey, this is what you guys do well, and then kind of burning the boats and just doing those things. And so I don't think it's a technical thing. I think we have good players. I think it's just. Or maybe we're throwing it too much, maybe we're not throwing enough. And again, I don't want to say those things. It's just, I think there's kind of a non-reactionary quality that he has that hopefully can help us.
With the QB situation, how have you seen Heinrich stay at the ready if he's called on for more this week?
Well, Heinrich, you talk about like the ultimate team guy. The guy's been playing on the punt team the last couple of weeks, right? Like, he asked me on Tuesday last week, do I need to go to the punt meeting or do you want me to stay in the quarterback meeting? So, he's just guys like that are why you coach. This is a good opportunity for him, to come in, because I think as Dana's been here last week, it's mainly been Heinrich and Danny taking the reps. So he's been able to see them play and see what they do. And so I think they've done a really good job. Heinrich's done a really good job, and we're not gonna go put back in the high formation option. Maybe we will. Maybe we will. So I think he brings a lot to the table.
It's early, but have you guys decided if Dana will be up top or down on the field?
I haven't had this conversation yet.
With USC maybe turning to Riaola, I mean, what kind of challenge does that pose scouting a guy who's only got a few reps in that uniform this season?
Yeah, I mean it's sort of the same thing, right? You're sitting there looking at, what do they do well, and they do a lot well. I mean the tailback is, like all Lincoln Riley offenses, Marks is a fantastic tailback. He's explosive, dynamic. I've coached against Coach Riley for a long time. He's going to find a way to run the football. He's elite at what he does. And even in the last game against Washington, like they got back in the game by just running the football at a high level. Branch is, excellent slot, so that, they have some guys that can really go on the outside, big matchups. And then, Maava, he has the ability to move, and so does Miller. But, that added part of the run game when they're running their shallow cross plays and running QB draw like they did with Jalen Hurts, or when they're pulling the ball. So now as a defense, you're having to defend the counter and the tackle trap and all these plays that they run, plus the opportunity for the quarterback to pull the ball and run, because he's a dual threat player. So there's some more challenges for us this week on defense, and you don't know exactly which direction they're going to go with him.
General
Like
sense,
this-
do you have what kind of a general sense do you have about the team's mindset, the team's mood coming out of the bye week? I mean, you've obviously seen different reactions to a loss or a bye week here in the past month.
I thought they were excellent last night. Okay, so I said we did what we did last week, but I also think we have to get to the point here pretty quickly where it's not this reactionary. Like it's not this like, we're down 13-6 at Ohio State and our locker room was electric. We're down 13-7 to UCLA and our locker room's like it's just I have to find the most competitive guys on the team and put them out there and turn them loose. And so you go through this process, you're teaching, and then finally get to a point where the players take it and run with it. And so I made this move that I made. And I'll make any other move I have to make, and the players have to make moves, and they have to play their best football moving forward, and they have to go out to USC and then come home and play Wisconsin, then go to Iowa. They have to play 3 games and play their best football, right? And so we shouldn't be in a great mood right now, right? We should be a little pissed off, but at the same time, I'm always going to tell the players, I told them that UCLA was good. I told them they just didn't. They chose to listen in their brains to listen to something else, right? And so, those same blitzes that were hitting Dillon, where everyone was, the crowd was booing, which I get, and those same blitzes were hitting Iowa. Like you just got to play better football, and we have to coach better football. So, we just can't be this emotional of a team, and that's what we worked on last week, and that's what we're working on right now. And you got to go out to USC, and USC can score. They can play great defense. You have to go play for 60 minutes. It can't be a 42-minute game. You know what I mean? Like it's got to be 60 minutes, and if you do that, then you'll always have a chance.
Just a clarifying question, when did you decide to make the change from Sap to Dana?
I called Dana on Sunday. I asked him to come in and consult and help out with the hope that this would work out. And then when he kind of got here Monday and Tuesday, he felt like he could call it. So I said, let's do it.